These days, it's hard to find someone without some shoulder problems. It's easy to find people who think they don't have shoulder problems. They're the ones who have them worse. But sometimes you think your pain is bad, but I think your pain is good because your pain shows you the movement restriction that you might have. Every day, like today, when I walk among the trees, I pray that everybody will wake up and have better consciousness of what to do with the shoulders. First of all, check them. Do you have full movement? Can you bring your shoulder up to your ear? Can you bring it down? Can you pull on your other arm and bring it down? Can you put the shoulder in your ear? Can you put it down? Can you lift the arm up easily? All the way. Can you bring it up? All the way. I'm sure you cannot do this, what I'm doing with my shoulders. Very few people can do this. But is it easy for you to move your arms this way? Where you put your hand on your hip and you move the arm forwards? Is it easy for you to move the arm backwards? No? That's a question that you want to ask. And the first question you want to know is your chest relaxed? Especially the upper chest, but also is your middle chest relaxed? Are you relaxed in your shoulders? These days, it's a big challenge. Number one, with economical pressures, with fear, the shoulders feel it the most. And especially in this area near the scapula, either in the right or in the left, our trapezius and rhomboids tend to tighten quite a bit. But second, sitting in front of the computer. It would be nice if we would have even time that we sit and we lean beautifully on the table backwards. That relaxes the chest. But most of the time, most people lean forwards. Some more, especially if they don't see well. And I definitely work with many of them. Some less. But there's always this slouching forwards, which of course affects the muscles that lift the shoulder up, like the levator scapula, right? And the trapezius. So we're tensing up, rotating our shoulders this way as we sit. And if on top of it we have mental tension and we sit this way, we really contract the shoulders. It's only a matter of time before they start to hurt and scream. Many times we get a break from sitting by standing. And it's a real good idea to stand and to stretch the leg backwards. Why is that important for the shoulders? Because the hip joints are connected to the shoulder joints in a great way. In fact, often I cannot release someone's shoulder unless I work on the hip first. And many times when people go to body workers with shoulder pain, the mistake that the body workers are doing is working straight on the shoulders. You have to work on everything else to take away the blockage of energy to help the specific place you want to work on. Think what kind of a stress it is for the shoulders to sit all day. People slouch to drink tea, to type, as we said a minute ago. And it is so hard for a person to sit with such tight shoulders on a regular basis. So standing is a great idea. But also, from time to time, if you can, as we do in our nice, modest place here, lie on your side. And so you put your hand on the table, or on the bed, or on the floor, and you move the shoulder in rotating motion. What's great about lying on the side, there is no gravitational resistance. And then you tap and you say, shoulder tip, and you move the shoulder in rotating motion in both directions. You lift the arm up and you move the whole arm in rotating motion in both directions. And you tap and you say fingertips, 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 and move the arm in rotating motion in both directions. And let's do the same thing here. You move the shoulder in rotating motion in both directions, and you tap and you say shoulder tip. And say it out loud, shoulder tip. So you focus on the tip of the shoulder. Why? So your chest will not work so hard, so your belly will not work hard, so your back will not work hard. And you move it in rotating motion, you say shoulder tip. Then you move your arm in rotating motion in both directions. And you tap and you say fingertips, fingertips. Now put your hand between your shoulders and tap on your ribs. Put your elbow down and tap on your chest. And what a relief it is to move the shoulder. We'll do it on the other side as well. We're going to tap and say shoulder tip again. We're going to move the arm in rotating motion in both directions. And now we're going to put the hand between the shoulders and tap on the ribs. Thumb near first or index finger. Then we put the hand this way, where the elbow goes down, and we tap. This kind of thing that you can do 5 minutes at a time can give you relief. So when life forces you to bend a little bit more than your body cares for, you now loosen your shoulders up. And that is better than any peel or surgery. Because right now, you will loosen your shoulder throughout the day and then have a much, much better chance of not having many problems of poor circulation to the hands, poor circulation to your face, and poor circulation to your head that can lead to strokes, hearing problems, and eye disease. Many people have frozen shoulders. They can't lift the arm up. It happened to me once myself. I had an accident of somebody who hit my car and went away, so we call it hit and run. And there was some emotional component when I said, why are you hitting me and why are you running? People even gave me his license plate. It was interesting to see how the police was apathetic and took details and sent me his name and said we can contact his insurance. It was like a crime, but that feeling of somebody hits me and leaving and not in the scene have caused more contraction. And then I can do so much with my shoulders. I can do this, which most people can't. I couldn't do it for a while. I couldn't even do this, putting my hands together like this and together like this. They would be here. So it was frozen, it was painful. I had chiropractor, osteopath, and my own practitioners working on it. Some improvement, but not much happened until one time in Brazil. I normally sleep in a king-size bed or a queen bed. But this time I was on a single bed. And it was narrow. And always, wherever I am, I exercise. And what I did was this. My foot touched my thigh, and I lifted this leg for 100 times. Then I lifted this leg for 100 times. Now most people don't have that strength in their gluteus medius and in their abductors of the leg, but I've done that. And lo and behold, after that, my arms became totally normal, my shoulders became totally normal, and my frozen shoulder disappeared. And ever since then, almost in every workshop, I meet somebody who can't lift the arm more than this, and they do this exercise and they can lift it all the way up. So again, the exercise is, and you can do it in phases, but that you put your leg up like this and you move like this. Now you're going to ask the proper question. What does that have to do with the shoulder? I'm moving my hip joint. I'm not moving my shoulder. But that shows you how every part of the body connects to another part. How one part connects to the other part, and if the hip joint is looser, if the abductors are looser, then what happens is that you have better support to the whole side of the body, and then it's easier for you to release the shoulder, which comes back to my lecture, that all the joints are connected. Shoulders connects to the rest of the body. That's why the first free session we did was on the feet, toes, and ankles. So one thing that we can say is the shoulders move a little bit forwards when we walk like this, but actually, when we walk like this, we have a mild traction to the shoulders, and we loosen up the shoulders and the neck. And when we walk sideways, we also loosen up the shoulders and the neck. And when we walk on unlevel surface, we're loosening up the shoulder and the neck. So walking on sand, in grass, anywhere but cement is really good for us. And so I want you to give yourself a variety of things to do. And walking backwards for about 300 meters every day can make all the difference to your shoulders. Many people read my book, The Handbook of Self-Healing, in 11 different languages. It's out of print, so we brought a small press to the world. It's very hard for us to sell as many as we want, and it is the press of Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. You also saw my exercises for the ankles, which are in those two books. So Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing is more current. And I really would recommend that you will purchase this book anytime soon. We will give you a special price for the next few days to get this book. And the important thing is that it has a good chapter for the back and a good chapter for the joints and a good description of much of what we're doing in these videos. So you remember some of the things that I was talking about. We tend to move a little bit too much forwards. Well, let's move a lot forwards then, so we can really stretch the scapulas. We tend to sometimes move backwards, and the chest is forward, so it's good to move all the way backwards. So we will find a way which is in between forwards and backwards. Pay attention to what you normally are doing with your shoulders. So let's start with a nice exercise. You put your two arms to the side and you point your hands to the ceiling, but you go a little bit beyond. You try to get as close as possible with your pinky to the ceiling, and then you go to the opposite side. You try to put your pinky pointing to the floor. Ceiling, floor. So you try to really mobilize your hands. Now stretch one shoulder, so you can really feel the stretch in your back. Stretch the other shoulder, and you can move it in rotating motion. So we'll do the same thing to the first. We'll move it in rotating motion. Try to be a part of the movement that nature gave us, up, down, forwards, backwards. Don't freeze into one position. And that is the problem of freezing to one position. If you pay attention, one of the things that I was trying to lecture about big time is how much all the joints are interconnected. Last lecture we talked about how working on the toes and working on the feet and working on the ankles affect your whole spine. And today we talked about how working on the hip joints affect the shoulders, that we were able to actually mobilize the hip joints better, and I was able to reduce some people's frozen shoulders and completely eliminate my frozen shoulder. So this is what's so important for you, that your shoulder will have all the range of motion it can have. And to repeat what I said, lying on the floor is where you start with it. So if we can all do it together, and that is to lie on the floor.
No.
Sorry.
Here.
Okay. To lie on the floor and to have a yoga mat if possible. And if not, take yourself anything else. And I don't need a pillow, but if you need a pillow, don't hesitate to take it, okay? And so you lie on the floor and just tell me, Rosando, if everybody sees my shoulder.
They see your shoulders.
Okay, and move your shoulder. You put your hand down. The hand is like an anchor. And move your shoulder in rotating motion. Now, when you move it in rotating motion, you go all the way forwards. You go all the way up. You go all the way backwards, but without moving your hand. And all the way down. So again, forwards, up, backwards, down. And now you tap on the tip of the shoulder and you say shoulder tip. And you move the shoulder in rotating motion in both directions. And now move the arm in rotating motion in both directions. Tap on the floor and say fingertips, fingertips. And move your arm in rotating motion in both directions. And now move your shoulder in rotating motion in both directions. Tap on the tip of the shoulder and say shoulder tip, and move the shoulder in rotating motion. And to help it further, take your leg and stretch the leg backwards. And most of us have such big difficulty to stretch that front of the thigh and the bottom of the abdomen backwards, all the way. We can also put the foot on the ground and move the leg up and down. Has everybody seen me putting my foot on the ground? Osando?
Mm-hmm.
All the way down, all the way up. And we take the leg and bring it back. And now, move your shoulder in rotating motion in both directions. So, we do again. We move the shoulder in rotating motion in both directions. Tap on the tip of the shoulder and say shoulder tip, shoulder tip, shoulder tip, shoulder tip. Lift the arm up and move the arm in rotating motion in both directions. And allow yourself a full stretch of your shoulder and chest if you can. Yeah, don't do it on purpose if you can. And tap on the tip of the shoulder and say shoulder tip. And now bring your leg back, stretch it backwards as much as you can. Breathe deeply and breathe slowly. What a wonderful, wonderful stretch it is. And you can see how easy it is for the shoulders. One very simple and easy exercise to do that I used to do a lot in my adolescence is to move the arms in rotating motion. You clasp the palms, you interlace the fingers, and you move the arms in rotating motion, both directions. This is so pleasant for the shoulders, so pleasant, and it really relaxes them. And moving the forearms in rotating motion in both directions. really helps the shoulders. So I really think that everybody deserves to take a break, even if it is for 5 minutes, even 4 minutes. Every now and then, I would say every couple hours, and do something with the shoulders. Either move the arms in rotating motion or move the shoulder in rotating motion. Makes a huge difference. And so we don't always have the option of putting a mat on the floor and lying down and doing the exercises. But we can always move the shoulder in rotating motion and feel the full range that it has. We can always put our hand between the shoulders and mobilize it. We can always put the hand on the chest and resist the movement of the chest and have a full sense of the movement. I want to show you something. When I stand on all fours, I can lean on each shoulder separately. And so, for example, Rosando, if you can press on the area between my shoulders, as hard as you can, even with your leg, and don't let me get it up. Yeah. Try hard. You're a young 25-year-old. Come on, do your best. Yeah. Don't let me go up. Harder, man. Yeah. Normally I have about 3 or 4 of them doing it. So it's next to impossible to stop me from moving my shoulders up. And that's because I mobilize them. And many people think that strengthening exercises is when you lift weights to the point that you get exhausted. No, lift easy weights and move them at great ease. But full mobility leads to real strength. And that mobility allows the blood to flow up to the head and get from the head, prevent strokes, prevent flooding of the retina, prevent hemorrhages, prevent glaucoma, many problems. So instead of just thinking about this illness and that illness, let's think about something else. Let's think about allowing the full mobility of the shoulder to be right there. And so all of us, move the shoulders in rotating motion in both directions. Take your hand and move your elbow in rotating motion this way. Do exactly the same thing to the other side. And massage your shoulders. Bring your arms back and massage your shoulders. It could lead to a wonderful difference. And it's really good to work on curving the back and curving it forwards too. So it's like we curve it this way, we curve it that way. That's a part of the shoulder work. One other real good exercise is to skin roll the chest. So you feel the chest and you skin roll the chest. From side to side, up and down, you can squeeze your shoulders and massage them that way. That's a great thing you can do. And I really hope that one of these days, when we have a better atmosphere in offices, of course, when the virus problem is going to be resolved, that we would be able to massage each other's shoulders. Oh, somebody sits in front of the computer and is strained and has to deal with something, and you say, now is the time that we can sit down and loosen my colleagues' shoulders so they can think better and work better. And there's so many benefits to working on your shoulders because, again, much more blood is coming to your head. And because much more blood is coming to your head, you can function so much better with them. Also, when we stand, we can interlace the fingers and move the arms in rotating motion in both directions. And we can do it in 2 ways. Yeah, we can, first of all, clasp the hands together and then apart. And of course, to help the shoulders, you want to have a good twist with your upper body to both directions, as far as you can in each direction. You want to be able to pull each elbow to the side and pull the elbow to the side. You see, what happens is many people have all of a sudden problem with the rotator cuff. All of a sudden, they did a sudden movement. How did that happen? They became stiff. And the stiffness is a result of our excessive work at the computer, excessive sitting that the modern world has. That eventually leads to a situation where you can all of a sudden do a sudden movement and you have resistance within you. But that doesn't happen if you have full movement all the time. If you have full movement all the time and you allow yourself to move in any possible way, allow the back to move, the chest to move, the wrist to move, the elbow to move in all kinds of ways. The moment that you do that and you think peripherally, and you also think, head goes up to the ceiling, each shoulder moves to the other side of the world. So all of you close your eyes and think that way. My head is going up to the ceiling. Why not the sky? All the way to the sky. Each shoulder moves to another part of the room and then to the other parts of the world. And you feel expanded. That type of feeling needs to be kept and returned to. You want to feel expansiveness in your shoulders, expansiveness in your neck, expansiveness in your back, loosening in your hips. And now I'm going to give you the most difficult exercise I've given you so far. Move one shoulder forwards and one backwards. Move one arm forwards and one backwards. And by the way, don't forget to also move your hips in rotating motion as you move one arm forwards and one backwards. Yeah, so being able to control your body and to feel your body in all situations. And I can tell you, I'm a body worker. I sometimes do body work and touch people and change their posture. It's such a wonderful thing. I don't think there's any better art. There was one person that was able to get out of the wheelchair. At least I did, and some other therapist and him himself, we were able to get him out of the wheelchair in spite of a terrible injury in his brain. He was still bent. And his father was watching me elbowing him and straightening him. And then he was straight and he said, well, it's just a wonderful form of art. Well, the art of life, when it comes into the shoulders, is to be able to loosen them in all situations. No matter how much you're bothered, no matter how things go bad, you want to feel as much mobility as possible. Because otherwise, pain of life stays in the shoulder, the emotion of having a great load of things that don't resolve themselves. Let me give you a secret. In our life, things actually never resolve themselves. And yet, we can be happy no matter what, right? There'll always be problems. You resolve one thing, another thing comes. Like, don't be a victim of your own thoughts. Don't be a victim of a sense of overload. Just release everything. And there's no better way to wash everything away than loosening up your body. And your shoulders are a very good start. So thank you very much for coming. This is the second free lecture at the size that we're giving. I'm going to do more like a 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. I just want to say again that we have a sales for the book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. And it's a good way for you to support us and to also get it for a lower price instead of 30, 20, and to help us continue and give our services to the world. So I'm happy to answer any question right now.
As always, anybody, if you have a question, just please raise your hand or type it there. Oh, Diana has a question. Okay, Diana, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hello, Meir. Can you listen to me again? Me again.
I want to hear you.
Listen, you talked about this connection between our shoulders and our hips, and I'm wondering, what is the best posture to sit down when you are in front of the computer? Because I tend to do, to sit very straight, but my hips are a bit, I don't know, mm,
So
how can I?
first of all,
I do this, so
first of all, every 20 minutes, stand
yeah,
up and stretch your leg this way, right?
okay,
Okay, second, when you sit,
yeah,
it's good if you have to bend forward, that you bend like this, so the back is a bit straight, and you bend like this. The slouch is comfortable. Many people just slouch. It's comfortable, but it takes so much effort because for every centimeter that your neck goes down, there is 10 times the effort. It's almost logarithmic from where it is straight, where I can put a plate and it doesn't fall, to from where it's straight to where I'm bending. It could be 50 times the effort of keeping it straight, because we have a ligament that keeps the neck straight, ligamentum cruce. And if we bend forwards, then you have muscles that bend me forwards and other muscles that resist them to keep me up. And so I'm really working hard to bend forwards. On the other hand, if I bend like this, which means the back remains straight, but I'm bending this way as I'm working with the computer, that's a whole different story, because then I'm not slouching and I'm not putting tension on my back. So you may find yourself slouching and say to yourself, no, I have to do this. I have to move my shoulders. I have to stretch here, and I have to stretch here, and I have to roll my eyes a bit and stretch even with my eyes, and roll my tongue, not be frozen, and stretch myself backwards. That's what we all need to do, or else the worst curse of the 21st century is degeneration. You degenerate into a position and into a movement.
yeah, yeah. And what about the hips? Do I have to move them a bit forward to be seated in a
because I'm seeing your head, I'm not seeing your hips.
Okay, let me okay. You see.
Okay, perfect. So a few things. First of all, you can move your hips on the chair. There are a few ways. This is invisible, but I'm mobilizing. I'm sitting from buttock to buttock. Let's all of us do a chair exercise for the hip. All of you sit on the chair and one butt outside the chair and one butt on the chair, or one cheek on the chair. So you move your buttock in rotating motion while sitting on the chair. Now, do the exact opposite. One on the chair and one outside the chair. And move it in rotating motion in both directions. And now I sit and I'm moving in rotating motion. Okay. So that's my answer to you. You can work in an invisible way on your, moving them in rotating motion on the chair. You know, whenever I fly on an airplane, I always have 2 tennis balls with me that put pressure against my spine. And every 2 hours, I put pressure against my spine. When I leave the plane, I'm much less tired after 10, 15, even 17 hours of flight, much less tired than the rest of the passenger, because they froze into one position. And I didn't allow myself to freeze so much. Of course, I also go away from the seat. I kind of loiter and all this. I don't know exactly in the time of Corona how much they would allow me to do that. But before Corona, I used to walk around and be near the kitchen and go to the bathroom again and stand up. And it's not good to constantly sit. And it's also good for you, you know, like what Eric Pepper said, change positions, you know, like sit up, sit down, stand. So those things are very good to do.
Okay, Meir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Anytime you're with me, ask me questions. Okay, go for it.
Okay. Katrina, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, Meir. I'm a person with a rotator cuff injury. I was in a outside toilet and the wind blew my arm back like that. It was 3 years ago. Do you think I need to do all the shoulder movements, or is there something?
You cannot do what hurts you. Because you see, I always feel that if there is no injury, you can definitely go beyond your capacity. You can go back and you can do this, you know, and you can do all kinds of things. But if you had an injury, you don't want to re-injure yourself. So the first thing is with rotator cuff injury, even though it's now 3 years later, putting cold and hot is very helpful. Putting cold on your shoulder is very helpful. And do you remember the exercise I've shown everyone in the video that I leave? Do you remember that I've done it lying down, but it's like this, that you put the leg and you move it from side to side. You can also do it standing. Lying is more effective and more difficult, but standing is easy. So basically loosening up your hip joint to help the shoulder is the way to go. I found quite a few people with rotator cuff injury couldn't lift the arm up, and we didn't do anything forceful except we start to use muscles that never used before. Also, walking sideways and back and forth can really help you loosen up many of the muscles of the hips that can then support the shoulders, and then it's easier to move the shoulders. You want to support them by working the hips, working the back, you know, like was bending and straightening. Those things are also very good. So make sure that you don't overstrain. I mean, you can strain the arm that did not get injured, but you cannot strain an arm that got injured.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to ask you 2 quick questions from the chat. The first one was, what do you think of yoga, like in regards to like these exercises?
Whatever you do in yoga, you want to also do the opposite of what you were taught in the class. So whatever posture you take in the class, do the opposite posture at home, because otherwise it's going to be imbalance. And that's why I really recommend that you work with my book, Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing. It has such a nice variety of things which are opposite from each other. My teacher always liked the round movement. That's why I like this much, the round movement that works so many opposing muscles. So the answer is yes, I like those classes, especially if you have a great teacher. But the point is to always balance what you do with what you never do. For example, in my training courses, we always start by running backwards. Why do we start by running backwards? Because we always overwork forward. Today, when I was running on the beach, and unfortunately the polluted air of San Francisco from the fires that we have around us. But when I was running on the beach, I thought maybe the water is purifying it a little bit. I was also running backwards. It was very important for me. So doing the opposite, as I was teaching here, you move your hands like this, you also move them like this. You lift the shoulders up, you also put them down. And you're seeing some people that their shoulders are normally up. Well, you got to do the full movement. And that is true about yoga as well.
Okay.
The second question?
The second question was, I want to ask about pain regarding frozen or injured shoulder. How to do floor exercises to avoid pain.
So the point that I was stressing before is what I want to stress now. And this is as you lie on the floor, and that's a tough one. You want to mobilize your leg back and forth this way. And it's very hard. And this, by the way, is going to be on YouTube. So you can look at it and record it. We allow this one for free. Take a look at what I've done on the ground, which was, I'll do it now for a moment so you see me, which was to lie on the stomach and lift the leg as high as possible. That really affects reduction of pain and increase of movement in the shoulder.
Okay. Let's do, Ori, please unmute yourself and ask your question if you're still here.
Hi. Hi, Meir. I wanted to ask about someone who has frozen fingers, that the fingers get numb. If that is related to shoulders, and what can they do with that?
It is related to shoulder, but those are neck vertebrae. okay? So the neck and the shoulder are very connected. The thing to do is to lie with a good pillow and to put the arm like this and then like this. Sometimes this takes away the numbness, sometimes this takes away the numbness. So you want to try both of those situations, and whichever way the numbness goes away, in that situation, you should stay for a while and breathe deeply. And then, of course, massage each finger. You can massage finger with the back of the palm of each hand. Okay, so again, the hand could be this way, and the hand could be this way. Right?
Okay, thank you very much.
Are you in Spain?
Yes, I am. When are you coming?
As soon as we can. Thanks.
Okay, let's do one from the chat again because they're asking a lot. From Gloria, does Meir have any suggestions for scar tissue area that limits movement somewhat? I do some yoga and it helps maybe a little, but tightens my back up so quickly.
First of all, don't ever tighten yourself. And second of all, you can take oil and massage the area of the scar and get to a good massage therapist to do some movement, maybe some raking movement, you know, great strong movement in the area of the tension, and massage that scar and then create gentle movement as we were talking about here. But never work through pain. That is the important thing I'm trying to tell you. You can do it in other parts where you're not scarred, but not where you're scarred. We can put pressure on healthy muscles. We can never do deep tissue on muscles that are injured. That is not allowed. You can put warm compresses if they help. Cold often help better because they take inflammation that comes again and again. But we must massage the area which is scarred with good oil or cream made out of, basically, I think olive oil is really good, but there are all kinds of ways to loosen the area. Okay?
Okay, and now let's do one from here. Meir, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, sir. There he goes.
Meir?
He unmuted himself. He's not speaking. Meir, last chance. Okay, it's okay. We'll try again later. Let's do one more from the chat then. How to heal a stenotitis of the knee?
Well, with the knee, we have to do a lot of work which is straight. So for example, if I had a table here, I would put my legs straight on the table. I would massage my hamstrings. I would bend and straighten my leg. I would have put the table if I would have known that I have a knee question. I would bend straight my leg and I would then bend towards the floor and bend to the other side. There's a lot to do. It's kind of harder to do it with the chair, but I would do all those exercises. Plus, with the knees, one of the nicest things to do is to rub your hands, maybe put a little bit of moisturizing cream on the hands and massage the knees. And do it whenever you can, wherever you are, massage them and tap on the thighs to loosen them up. So don't ever mess with the joint. Don't strain the joint, but work with the muscles and loosen them up.
Okay, and I think that's it, Meir.
Okay, so Meir, can we try him again? Or no?
Oh, you know what? Actually, he hasn't put his hand up, but Petra for her hand up. Go ahead and speak, Petra.
Petra?
Yeah, hi Meir, hi. I remember you talked that yoga, you're not really a fan of yoga. What are your comments on that, practicing yoga?
I'm all for it, but as I'm saying again, we need to do the opposite. If you take a class of 50 minutes, do the opposite at home. If they got you to stretch in one way, stretch the opposite way. So it will not be it will not be one-sided. And those who stretch also need to contract, and those who contract also need to stretch. We have special reflexes in the muscles that don't allow us to stretch too much, and people don't pay attention to them and often injure themselves. We have special areas in the muscles that tell us not to contract too much. And many people who are muscle builders may have big muscles, but they're not healthy. They can't even button their shirt, they're so stiff. And the ability to not overstretch and not over tighten is a very good ability. It can keep you healthy, strong, and loose for the rest of your life.
Cool. Thanks.
You want to answer one more question?
One more question. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Richard Scramstead, go ahead and unmute yourself, sir.
Can he?
Richard?
Richard?
Mm,
Doesn't
no.
work. Okay, I'd like to thank all of you for taking this free session. We will announce you. We will have probably shorter sessions for free in the coming future, probably even next week. But this is the last, and it's on YouTube, and you can, and it will forever remain free. And we may even edit it a little bit, but we'll keep all the material in it. So thank you very much, and see you all again.
Oh, Meir, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, hi. Oh, I just wanted to ask you about when you say do the opposite on yoga. Let's say I'm on my back and I'm like got my legs in the air. I'm doing that, happy baby or something. What's the opposite of that? I don't quite understand what you mean by the opposite.
Okay. So if you do like you do the child pose, you're talking about happy baby, you're doing the child.
Yeah, right.
Okay, then do the opposite. Do stretching backwards. Okay.
Okay. So I see.
If you think that in the class you learn too much of one direction, when you get home, do the opposite direction on your body. And that's
okay.
And Richard studied in my training course. That's why one of the most important exercise for me is to roll on the floor from side to side. That's what I also do in long swing. We move from side to side. I love the circular idea that you use the opponent muscles, because there's a rule in nature. Whenever you work one muscle, the opponent stretches. So when you contract one, the opponent stretches. So when you stretch one, you have to contract the other. We have to do both, contract and relax. And we have to allow the body to move in a different way. So I just want to show you, Richard, what you don't have to compensate to, but take a look at this, so as I said, if you bend, you also need to stretch. But think about the fact that you can actually roll from side to side. But even when you roll from side to side, the tendency would be to prefer one side over the other. So you roll within one side, then you roll within the other side. Then you roll on your stomach from side to side. And then you return to rolling from side to side, and you make sure that no one part works more than the other. So the whole idea is the idea of balance. True strength isn't in another group of muscles. There are quite a few people that thought that they're in good shape and they are getting the flu, they're getting corona, they are actually out of shape big time. Why they thought they're in good shape? Because they had an extra group of muscles. No. Strength is balance. Balance within your body. Balance.
Okay, so if you roll on your back like that, then you're saying if you roll on your back like that for a few minutes, you should also roll on your stomach.
Well, first of all, on your ribs.
Or your ribs. Okay, yeah.
And then do that on your stomach. And then roll again from side to side and feel that every part of you is even. That you don't prefer one side over the other. Because that's what happens to us in life. So again, I want to say strength in the body is.
And also, I want to just say thank you, of course. Everybody's saying thank you for these free lectures. They're great.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. So real strength is immune strength, which means not agitated, not irritated immune system, not one that attacks you when it tries to kill a virus, but opposite, one that becomes stronger and stronger from virus to virus, from bacteria to bacteria, and is very balanced. Having balanced autonomic nervous system, so the fight and flight doesn't work over the relaxed system. Having a very good central nervous system, where more and more of you is always active, and having stronger muscles. All of that is a big deal. Some people think that just because they overuse their muscles, they become strong. That's how they get strokes. That's how they get heart attacks. That's how they get the flu. That's how they get corona and don't recover from it quickly. That's how all those things are happening. Balance of the body is the secret of strength. Thank you very much.